Shine with Kendell Lenice. Real talk for real people. Let's shine together. Shine with Kendell Lenice. Real talk for real people. Let's shine together.
All right, welcome to Shine with Kendell Lenice. I am your host, Kendell Lenice. Allow me to introduce myself to you just a little bit further. I am a certified transformational life coach, speaker, and author, as well as a certified meditation practitioner and content creator. I'm so glad that you decided to join me on my life podcast. On this podcast, I will educate, elevate, and entertain you with various topics. We will do live coaching, and I will hopefully give you a different perspective on some of your favorite topics and introduce you to new ones. I'm not sure how you stumbled upon this podcast. I'm just so glad you did. Before we get started, do me a favor and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening and rate if you are able to. Thank you so much once again for tuning in, and now on to this week's show. Today's show is sponsored by 617 Lip Love Organic Lip Moisturizer Balm by K. Lenice. Get yours today at leniceboutique.com. This product is for men and women, and its signature flavor, eucalyptus mint. It's the bomb, y'all. Get it today at leniceboutique.com. Protect your lips, heal your lips at all costs. 617 Lip Love Organic Lip Moisturizer Balm. Get yours today at leniceboutique.com. Support Black businesses, support women-owned businesses. leniceboutique.com. Hi, everyone. Shine with Kendell Lenice. I am Kendell Lenice, and right now I am going live on Facebook. I'm doing this podcast live from my home, but live on Facebook. I hope everyone is having an amazing week thus far. I don't know how you stumbled upon this podcast, but I am so glad you did. I'm so glad that you're joining me today. And hello to everybody watching from Facebook Live, which later it'll be uploaded on my YouTube channel. So, you guys know I've been doing this podcast for quite some time, and this is episode 145. And as we're going to talk about life today, and as we see it, I think it's 145, and we're dealing with 45, if you know what I mean. You know who I'm talking about, your president. But we're going to be talking about that and a whole lot more today. You know, this is my podcast, and it's all about education, elevation, and entertainment. As always, across the board, that's what I'm about, and that's what I talk about. And on this podcast, as a certified life coach, you know, I do some life coaching and talk about real stuff, real talk for real people. That's what I'm about. But this week, I want to keep it all the way real, and I want to talk about life now, the way life is. So the title and the topic of this conversation today is Life Now, the Ways of the World. And when I say life now, it's life now, and then it's life now. So like now what? This is how it is now. This is what we're dealing with. So I want to talk about all of that and a lot more on this week's episode. But before I get further into the show, I want to make sure you do me a favor and subscribe. So wherever you're listening to your podcast, subscribe, rate, leave a comment, talk about what you may want to talk about, and just leave me a brief note. And you can also email me at KendellLenice@gmail.com. That's KendellLenice lenice@gmail.com if you want me to talk about any topic in particularly. So today, again, it's just you, me, and my Facebook Live. All right. As I talked about, real talk for real people. This is a life podcast. This is what we do here. Yes, we can laugh, joke, and play and have fun, but we have to be prepared to talk about the real issues going on. All right. So we know about COVID-19 and we're still living in a pandemic. Although some people, if you look on social media, some people forget that we are in a pandemic still. You know, I saw a post from somebody that I know, like they lost the 8th person they know to COVID-19. So it's not a game. It's not a joke. You know, grown folks are going to do what grown folks do. You know, I'm not here to, you know, point my finger and get my switch out and to, you know, hurt folks about what's happening, what's going on, because like I said, we're grown, you know, but I just want everybody to be socially responsible. Wear your mask, keep your distance if possible. I know sometimes it's hard to do. Even for me, I'm in the store and I look back and people are still up on me. I'm like, do you know what social distancing means? Do you know what that is? Because I didn't like, you know, people on top of me even before a pandemic, okay? Like I didn't want nobody all in my personal space. And some of us know what personal space is, and some of us don't have a clue on personal space and what that is. So, and then you have it marked in the stores. I don't know if you go into the stores and you have the little circles on the floor that say 6 feet and stand here. But people are ignoring that. People ain't really paying attention to that either. But you just got to be mindful. And, you know, yesterday I was with my Nana, and she is 88. And, you know, older people are more prone to it. If you have a weaker immune system, you're prone to it. I have a cousin who his immune system is very compromised. And, you know, I concern myself with that because so many people are susceptible. Now, all of us are susceptible to what's going on with COVID-19. So that's why it's so important to keep your immune systems up. It's so important to make sure that you're healthy, you're eating right, you're eating all the right foods and doing what you need to do to protect yourself. I know that I make health drinks at home and health shots. Those are the kind of shots that I'm taking. You know, I make up little concoctions, and I make sure I take my vitamins and I'm eating properly, because that helps keeping your immune system up. Having vitamin C tablets, drinking my, 100% grapefruit juice and all of that stuff, just to make sure that I don't not only have it, but I don't pass it on to someone else. So it's important for me to be mindful. And like I said, when I was with my grandmother, I wanted to make sure I was, not only was she protected, she had her shield and all of that on, but I wanted to make sure that I was protected also. And even when we were together, we didn't take our mask off. And, I think it's important to do that. Now, in Atlanta, I saw footage and people all up in the clubs, all on top of each other and all of that. And again, I'm not telling grown folks what to do, but I challenge you just to make sure you're doing everything that you can do that's socially conscious and socially responsible. I just challenge you to make sure you make wise decisions and choices when it comes to this here pandemic. Okay. All right. So again, we're talking about life now and the ways of the world. And, here in the United States, we know we're dealing with police brutality. Unfortunately, that is not an isolated thing or an isolated person or incident. I mean, it's been happening with Black folks and the police since the beginning. And I'm glad that it took a shift with George Floyd and he had his life clearly is not in vain in the loss of his life, even though it was murder and wrong and sad, and it had us frustrated and angry and all of those things. His life is still now being used for good because it sparked the fire. The flame was already there, but it sparked a new one. And I just take my hats off to the millennials and the Generation Zs because they ain't going for it. Like, this ain't the old time where we're going to protest and nothing happens, and after a while it sizzles out. I mean, I did my share of protesting during George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, but some young folks are continuing, and my hat's off to you. And I often tell a lot of older folks, you got to look at the millennials in your life and the Generation Zs, because they are doing it. They are doing it the right way. And not just in that aspect, but I also talk about Generation Z and the millennials in a business aspect, because they're doing things differently. So yes, older people, you can learn a lot from them. And I love young people, and I'm around young people, and I talk to young people all the time. And I think it's important for us to do that so we can bridge the gaps and everybody can work together. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Nigeria and what's happening over there with SARS. So for some, I know some people are like, well, what is SARS? Is it a disease? What is it? And I've heard people talk about it. So I just want to make sure I let you know what that is and say things the right way. So it's a special branch of Nigerian police created in 1992, and they deal with crimes associated with robbery and firearms. So what's happening now with SARS is a lot of torture and a lot of illegal activities from the police over there. And I say police in air quotes because, yes, they are the police. However, almost like what's happening in the U.S., they're using their power, quote unquote, for harm. So I just was talking about George Floyd, what happened with Breonna Taylor. Like, now you can't sleep while black. You can't drive while black. You can't walk down the street while black. You can't have a hood on while black. You can't eat Skittles while black. You can't be standing outside while black. You get what I'm saying? So it's not even like you can't drive while black. That used to be a thing. And you can't, do a lot of things while black. But now really, you can't do much black when it comes to the police officers. And we see that with Breonna Taylor. So when we switch over to Nigeria, it's not the same thing, but it's the same thing as far as power being abused. So I know my daughter was talking to a Nigerian friend of hers, and he was saying that it's really bad out there. Even if you're in a rich area, it's bad because they have this tax, so to speak, where even if you're driving and they stop you, they'll say, I'll take your car or I'll arrest you if you don't give us money, right? So a lot of people know that they better have cash on them in Nigeria because they're going to have to give the police money illegally for breathing, pretty much. And a lot of that is happening over there, and a lot of different situations, like the recent one where everyone is trying to protest in Nigeria over the SARS, the special branch of the Nigerian police. So it's another form of police brutality, and they are still doing some of the same things in Nigeria that they're doing over here, the police officers. So I know Tina Knowles, Beyonce's mom, came out, and it was a post and delete, but I believe the Shade Room captured it, and the Jasmine brand captured it. She was just talking about Tina Knowles, that is Beyonce's mom, that people were mad at Beyonce because she didn't post anything about SARS, and she did the the video over there, and she was in the culture, embraced her, and the Africans accepted her in a sense, and she wasn't doing anything about SARS or posting about it. So her mother, as any mother would, took up for her child as any mother would, and saying that just because someone doesn't post something, it doesn't mean that they're not working behind the scenes, and they're not caring about a particular subject at hand, especially something important and something as vital and something as crucial and critical that's happening over in Nigeria as well as the United States. But that's a question. So if you don't post on your social media what's going on in the world, does that mean that you don't care about what's going on in the world, or you don't care about what's going on in the country? Do you find that it is our duty to post and to talk about what's happening, as I'm talking about it now? And that's because I do have a podcast, and I have a YouTube channel and a platform on social media. But, you know, what do you think? Should that be the case? Should you talk about everything that's going on social media? Does it matter if you have 5 followers, or does it matter if you have 5 million? You know, because that's the thing. A lot of people have social media, and a lot of people use their social media, but sometimes they're not posting about what's happening in our life right now, but it doesn't mean they don't care about what's happening in our life right now. And I think that we have to stop thinking that if someone's not posting about it or talking about it publicly, then they're not doing something behind the scenes, or they don't care. And I think that that's pretty unfair, because you can be slaying dragons offline and then come online and say something that has maybe a joke or something like that. That doesn't mean that that person wasn't doing their thing behind the scenes. So I just found that interesting, and Miss Tina wasn't having it. She wrote 2 books about leaving her daughter alone. And I don't think it's just one person's responsibility to tackle the problems in Nigeria or in this country or the rest of the world. I think collectively we need to do that. I think it's our duty to do that collectively. Tell me what you think. You know, you might think something differently. You might think because they have a platform, they have an obligation. So let me know what you think about that. I'm going to take a quick break, and I will be right back. Just a quick break. Thank you for shining with me, Kendell Lenice. If you're here for the very first time, thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to the show, and don't forget to tell your friends and family about Shine. We'll be right back. All right, and I am still on Facebook Live. If you are out there on Facebook, hi everybody. If you are watching it live, hello, how you doing? If you are watching the replay, just leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about today's podcast, and let me know what you think about the questions that I posed to you. And this is a beautiful thing. So when we talk about COVID, the pandemic, the coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, it gives us the opportunities to do things from home. Now, I was doing a lot from home before, but I can't say I don't enjoy it. I can't say that, oh man, now I miss the interaction with people, and that's why I love social media. But I love, being on the stage and touching people and, hugging people. Of course, clearly we're not doing that during the pandemic. But I like to look into the eyes of the people that I speak to, because you can tell a lot by looking in someone's eyes. That connection where you meet someone's eyes and they're like, oh, I feel you, or I understand, or I get it, So, of course, we're doing Zoom, and on my talk show, Kendell Lenice Live on YouTube, I'm able to look at people virtually as I'm doing that show. But I would love to, get back on the stage and do what I do. I would love that, but I don't want to be premature with that. And I'm in the house quarantining right now. Even if I have to go to the store, and like I said, I went with my Nana, I usually like to come back after that day, and then I don't go anywhere that next day. So I like to quarantine a lot during the week just to make sure I'm safe and that I'm protecting not only myself but other folks. So today I'm just in the house talking to y'all, doing my podcast, talking to Facebook Live, and that's what I'm doing. All right. So I want to talk about mental health. Okay. It's important. It's just as important as eating right and keeping your immune system up, as I was talking about earlier. And therapy is important as well. And it's interesting, I was watching the Red Table Talk and someone put a quote up there and it said, with mental health, you don't need to talk to an influencer, you don't need to talk to a life coach, and I'm a life coach. You need to talk to a therapist when it comes to mental health and trying to get it right, and maybe a psychologist or a professional of that field when you're dealing with mental illness. And as a life coach, I didn't get offended by that when that person says you don't need to talk to a life coach about mental illness. And I didn't, again, get offended because somebody might need medication and the life coach can't prescribe medication. So as a life coach, the difference is when it comes to therapy and life coaching, it's about, I'm the remix coach, and it's about handling your life from this point. So if you have mental illness, can you see a life coach? Absolutely. But if you're trying to cure your mental illness, then you need to see a doctor, or if you need, medication, or if you need, and depends, because therapists can't provide medication, but doctors in that field can. But it's important to seek help. Now, if you just want to see a therapist and a life coach together, people do it all the time. A lot of my clients do that. Or if you just need you're trying to move to the next level, you're trying to shake up some things in your life, you're trying to break old habits, you're trying to stop procrastinating, you want a better life, you want a better career, you want a better relationship, you want a better job, you want to jump out there and be an entrepreneur, you want to do this, that, you want to remix your life, change it, do some things over, I'm your girl, the life coach. But as a life coach, I often talk about mental health. And as a certified meditation practitioner, I also talk about mental health. And as a woman, and as just a human being walking around here on this earth, I talk about mental health. And I think it's so very important, especially the times that we're in. And I get a lot of new clients because of the time that we're in, and people feel like they're running out of time and they want to live their best lives. They want to fulfill dreams that they might have been scared to fulfill before, or might not have known how, or didn't have an accountability partner to do that. And I do that with a lot of clients. But in this time, when we're dealing with COVID, forget that. Even outside of this time, people needed help with mental illness and being mentally well and mentally stable. But now people are recognizing it more as a whole, as a society, that mental health is important and mental illness is really a thing. And it's not that people are crazy, like they used to say back in the day, oh, they're just crazy, they're just touched. No, mental illness is real. And I want to detach the shame of mental illness from people's vocabularies and people's minds. And I'm glad like Taraji is out there doing her thing with her foundation in her father's name, and Charlemagne is, and so many people are. There's so many people, so I don't want to exclude anyone, but everybody is unveiling the sheet of shame. And even Shanti Das, a former executive over at LaFace Records, she is, she has a campaign, Silence the Shame. And I think it's so important that we do that and give people the permission to take care of themselves. because people are running themselves in the ground. People are afraid. People are unsure. People are trying to be there for everyone else, and they're not there for themselves. And what happens is there's a break, and people break down, nervous breakdowns, stop talking, almost stop breathing, committing suicide. It's a real thing. And the pressures of the world, everybody can't handle. Everybody can't take. So when people say check on your strong friends, the people that you thought had it all together, or check on your people who may be struggling, it's a real thing, because some people you might think have it together because they have a good job or career or good life or a good marriage or have money or houses and all of that. And that means nothing when people are dealing with mental illness. It's really a thing. And even the finest of the fines and the handsome of the handsomes can suffer from mental illness. People that you've known for years can suffer from mental illness. And I think that that's important to recognize that and check on folks. But with this world the way it is right now, and people losing their jobs, people are losing their homes, people are losing their cars, they're losing their loved ones to Corona, And I think that we need to think about other people's, if you're the ones, if I'm the ones, if we're the ones that might be okay in whatever okay means to someone. Okay might be that I'm eating every day. Okay might mean that I still have a car, a place to live, lie my head at night, or, I'm still able to breathe. I'm still alive. That might be okay to someone. That might be everything to someone if they're looking in and they have none of that. Or you might just have all of your faculties, and your mental wellness might be a top priority, and you're taking ownership of it and you're taking it seriously in your life. I just say to those that are going through it emotionally and mentally, Les Brown says, and this is one of my favorite quotes and I always quote it, you ask for help not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong, right? So I always commend anybody that's asking for help, whatever type of help that may be. I commend anyone for doing just that. And seeking a life coach, seeking a therapist, seeking a counselor, seeking a doctor, seeking whoever you feel that can help you with whatever issue you have. I always commend someone for asking for help, just to keep you together, because this world will bite you up and spit you out in a lot of different pieces, and it's difficult to cope for many. So pray for folks, help folks, ask folks if they need help, and make it okay for people to ask you for help. You don't have to ask a lot of questions. You don't have to make someone feel bad. You don't have to shame someone, because it's interesting. In this world, shame is it's two sides, right? Because on one side, people don't have shame. They're doing any and everything, on social media or not. They have no shame, right? But then that person may not have shame, but they are shaming others for their behavior, how they dress, how they look, how they act, what they have, what they don't have. They're shaming other people. So why don't some people have shame when it comes to them, but then they're shaming other people? We have to find some type of balance in that, and to know, okay, you need to see a therapist. Let me, introduce you to this therapist or that therapist. And on my show, Kendell Lenice Live on YouTube, I've had probably 3 therapists on there talking about therapy, Black therapists talking about therapy. I had 2 black male therapists, and I had 1 Black young lady therapist, and they were from different parts of the country. So if that's something that you need, or you need a referral, I know tons of them that can help you. And now, because of COVID-19, a lot of folks are giving service to free for people who need therapy. So don't think that it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. Typically, if you have health insurance, even if you have state health insurance, the therapist will accept that. Okay. So I don't want anybody walking around there feeling like they can't get help or they're not worthy of help. Everybody is worthy of it. We got about 14 minutes left, but I want to talk about community, because this episode is about life now, the ways of the world, what we're dealing with now. And I want to talk about community. That's the best part of COVID-19. And that doesn't shadow people losing their lives, people dealing and struggling at this time. So I don't want to minimize that. Let me just say that. But for some, it has been a great period when it comes to growth, when it comes to learning, when it comes to love, when it comes to being grateful and thankful, and coming together as a people, as a community, looking out for one another, making sure everyone is okay. I think that we've done good with that. As a community, people are coming together to make sure everyone eats. They're making sure people have masks. Some people are making masks, giving them free. Some people are helping parents tutor their kids or homeschool their kids. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Some people are just making sure that other people are good. You see people paying it forward differently. You see people smiling on social media, calling people that they may not have called. You just see a sense of community and warmness and love. That's what I'm seeing. That wasn't necessarily there before. You're seeing a lot of people more appreciative of the things that they have. Think about it. If you're staying in your house for months, you're grateful first that you have a roof over your head. Now, if you go, some of the people have pools and all of that and game rooms and basketball courts and all of that. So you have that where some people are like, dag, if I got to be quarantined, at least I'll have that. And it's like I'm not even quarantined, right? But then you have the other hand where people are homeless. They don't have a home. So now that's polarized, that they don't even have a home to be quarantined in. So then you have the middle of the road that have a home. It might not be a dream home, but it's a home nonetheless with a roof and some walls and some food in the fridge, heat, air, whatever you need. So there are a lot of people that have it, quote unquote, better than you, whatever that means. But there are a lot of people who have it worse than you, whatever that means to you. So in other words, you really have to be grateful and show gratitude for what you have right now, because it can always be worse. And there's somebody that can show you, hey, you're talking about you don't have this or that, but I got this or that and I'm miserable. Or I don't have this or that. I wish I had what you had. So it's really about being in a state of gratitude and being grateful and thankful for what you have. And I don't have little kids. You guys already know that. But I'm thinking about that, because I've been married and been divorced and, I'm married again. Let's keep it real. So in between some of those times, I was a single parent, right? So I'm wondering how it would be if I needed to work and my job opened up during the pandemic, right? And I had to go to work. And my children had to be homeschooling when they were young. What would I have done? What if I had nobody to help me? What would I have done? What if I didn't have my ex or my mom or whoever? Like, what would I have done? Or would anybody be available to help homeschool my kids when I went to work or virtually teach my kids? Because think about it, if they're 7, 8, 9, 10, They might not be able to be home by themselves and regulate and know how to do that. And that is a struggle that a lot of parents are having out there. Like, okay, now my job opened back up, or it never closed because I was an essential employee. How do I teach my kids or virtually help my kids with school, but then go to work because I can't work from home? So then what do I do? Am I leaving my child at home by themselves while they are at school at home? And then, like, what am I doing? So that is a dilemma that a lot of people are having. And some say, well, they can just not go to work. Well, how are they not going to go to work? Like, come on, how are they not going to go to work? And that might be the only income that provides for their children. Oh, well, they can take their kids to work. Nah, you might not have a job that you can do that, but you can't leave your kids in the car and on a phone to try to go to school. Like, what do they do? If you're a parent out there that's in that situation, let me know. What are you doing? And I know some people might be grouping up with other parents who are in the same position or who had grandparents they're helping or friends or neighbors. Maybe they're coming together to try to make it do what it do. And hopefully people have that. But what are they doing? So even, people get happy like, oh, okay, the world is slowly trying to open back up in different phases. I can go back to work, but now school's in session. So what are you doing if you're in a town and you don't know anybody and your child was going to school during the same hours you were at work, and they were at aftercare or before care before you went to work, and if you got off later than school let out? I remember those days. So you got to think about those people too. And if you can be of service, if it's a neighbor or a family member, check on them, ask them. So what are you doing? Do you need help? But now y'all ain't helping. 6th grade homework is like college now. 5th grade homework, y'all ain't able to do it. But still, you can guide them and your kids can teach you, or somebody else's kids can teach you. But yeah, so think about other people when you're walking around and check on somebody. Ask them, hey, you need help? Are you managing? How you getting by? That might mean the world to them, even if you can't help. But this just that you cared enough to ask them how they're doing. All right, so as we wrap up the show, I want to talk quickly about voting. I hope everyone out there is going to cast their vote. Now, you hear some people say, well, I don't like Kamala, I don't like Biden, I don't like Trump, so I'm not voting, and I'm going to write in Kanye West's vote. First of all, please, it's a tactic, it's a trick. Do not write in Kanye West. Do not. Because we already know what side he's on, and that's about division, okay? I'm just keeping it all the way real. Don't vote for Kanye West, please. Don't. All right. So, I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. Look at the facts. Look at what's happening. You figure it out. I know who I'm voting for, okay? But cast your vote. It's so important that you do that. You have your ballot. I got my ballot here, and I'm going to drop my ballot off and make sure my vote counts, because women, we could not vote. Black women, black people, we could not vote. And that wasn't that far back. So people have died, people have been hosed, people have been chased by dogs, people have been killed and trampled to have the right to vote. Okay? So please exercise your right to vote, because if you're black, your ancestors, that was a big deal. They fought for our right. And if you're a woman like me, women, we could not vote. Our vote didn't matter. Nothing that we said mattered, but we matter today. Black folks matter. Women matter. And we have the opportunity to cast our votes. So put aside if you don't like the candidates, or if you don't like this part of the candidate, or this person did this or that. But as a whole, you do your research. and you vote. It's important to do that, and your vote matters. I see people who are in their 40s and they say that I've never voted before, but I'm going to vote now because this is important. And not only is it important to vote for the presidency, it's important to vote for what's happening in your communities. Okay? The judges, the council people in your community, the different acts in your community, all of that comes from your vote. So if you're going to complain about something and you haven't voted, then you have no right to complain because you have no skin in the game. You're not vested in what's happening in the country, and you're not vested what's happening in your community. So it's important to cast your votes on November 3rd or before. Okay. So this show was slightly different because I really wanted to talk about what's happening in the world. You know, if you go back to listen to all my podcast shows, you'll be laughing, you'll be crying, you'll be learning, you'll be growing. And the show is about education, elevation, and entertainment. So if we can laugh together and we can joke together and I can coach you and we can talk about other issues, you know, that affect us, then we can talk about this. Because with everybody, you have to have a balance, right? You have to be able to be well versed in everything. It can't be fun and games all the time. We got to talk about what's going on in the world. So I just wanted to take this show, this small portion, this 45 minutes, to talk about some of the issues that are going on in the world. But I just want to end by telling you to call someone today and tell them that you love them, tell them that you're thinking about them, and tell them that you're there if they need you. And sometimes that need is just to know that you're available for someone else. I thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Shine with Kendell Lenice. This is a life podcast. Again, it's all about education, elevation, and entertainment. Wherever you get your podcast, do me a favor. If you can subscribe. If you can leave a message, please leave a message. If you can rate, please give me some stars. That's what I'm talking about. And if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, I love you guys just the same. If this is your first time tuning in to Shine with Kendell Lenice, I'm so glad that you decided to stop through. Don't forget to subscribe. It's important to do that. And I am with you every single week. It's me and you, baby. Thank you so much. Remember, you are a star, so don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace.
Shine with Kendell Lenice. Real talk for real people. Let's shine together.
Today's show is sponsored by 617 Lip Love, Organic Lip Moisturizer Balm by K. Lenice. Get yours today at LeniceBoutique.com, and its signature flavor, eucalyptus mint, for all of the amazing healing agents. Protect and heal your lips with 617 Lip Love for men and women. Order yours today at LeniceBoutique.com. It goes on smoothly and it smells great. But most of all, it's the bomb. Get your 617 Lip Love Organic Lip Moisturizer Balm at LeniceBoutique.com.